We welcome you all as we prepare to begin the keynote address. We are privileged to have our distinguished keynote speakers, Dr. Uhona Thiessen from Nextelligence USA, Dr. Deepak Gadia Garu, Chairman Sunrise CSP India Private Limited, Dr. Archana Mantri from Anurag University, and Dr. Bill Williams from University of Lisbon, Portugal. So to begin with our proceedings, I am delighted to invite Dr. Archana Mantri Garu to deliver her keynote session on problem-based learning, a practitioner's perspective.
Good afternoon, welcome all. It was a surprise for me because as per the agenda program schedule, I was supposed to speak at third, but that's okay. That happens all the time. Life is full of surprises. Here I am. I'm giving you a perspective, practitioner's perspective on problem project-based learning. Why can I present this and how do I authorize myself to present this perspective? Because I can proudly say I have been and I am a practitioner of PBL even today. And so here I bring to you a perspective, my perspective, but the way I have structured this presentation, because this was to be completed in 12 minutes, and a practitioner who has done at various levels of PBL, it's very difficult to concise it. So whatever you will see here is a summary, not only from my experience, but also from the literature. What other co-practitioners of PBL have done in various parts of the world. I'm bringing it here. It's a summary of those practices. So the practice levels of PBL, I can classify them into 4 levels. PBL is practiced at course level, at cross course, what is also known as integrated approach to PBL, wherein 2 or more courses faculty members come together and the students also, and they practice PBL at the curriculum level. Now, at the curriculum level, practicing PBL requires a lot more intention at the top level, wherein the whole curriculum is either designed or redesigned, aligned or realigned to make PBL the central piece. And I have written here with a star, these are some of the prominent universities which are practicing PBL at curriculum level. Aalborg University, University College of Dublin, Universidad Europa de Madrid, Clemson University. There could be more, but the literature I could find these 4. And finally, at the project level, and based on duration, implementation, organizers, and disciplines, here is a classification of summary for you to look at. What I'm going to do in the next 8 minutes is to blow up each of these levels for you to understand the landscape. But if you look at this matrix or table, this becomes overwhelming to see and to interpret. I've still done it for you to see what are the dimensions of PBL at course level, but what I can present to you and maybe come back to this detailed if there is time. Here is a summary of PBL at course level. The literature and my own practice, I have seen that team size varies when the PBL is practiced at course level. Team size varies from single student to 8 students. The problem type varies from ill-structured, semi-structured, open-ended problems to real-world simulated problems and even hypothetical problems. And problems and projects can be proposed by students or by teachers, or it could be a combined effort. The duration varies, and again, these are coming from the literature and from my own practice. It can vary at course level from even within 1 class duration. You can practice PBL. It can vary or go on for 2 to 3 classes or even an entire semester. There are in this room sitting teachers who have practiced PBL at course level for 1 full semester, and I know of them. Even those who have done for 2 to 3 classes and in 1 class too. The learning context is knowledge management. It varies from being just knowledge management to an activity-based PBL. It can be a design-based learning context or a practical orientation or project-based. And course level PBL can be practiced in a multiple of combination of these 7 plus 3 plus 3, 13 parameters. Similarly, when you go PBL practices at cross course levels, again this matrix becomes a slightly overwhelming, but still I have done it. Time permits, we can come back to it for discussion or maybe at the breakout sessions, but here is a summary of PBL at cross course levels. Very smartly, I have changed the learning context to learning emphasis, because now the objective is a little broader. So the problem types definitely have to be more complex. Team size may vary from 3 to 8 students. This is not an observation or a speculation. This is coming from research and from the literature that I have studied and I have practiced. Product or process design, the problems should be real world and real life. When you go to cross course levels, an integrated approach can be practiced at PBL only when you have real world or real life problems. And the problems can be proposed again by students or by teachers or a combination of them. Duration is now a slightly longer, 6 to 8 weeks, but in the cases of cross course or integrated level of PBL, there has to be a few weeks of pilot studies. So my word of caution to the practitioners here who are wanting to graduate from a course level to a cross course level is you must allot some few weeks for pilot study, for doing some collaboration work amongst the teachers, and followed by preparation and professional courses need to be conducted to support that kind of PBL. And one semester, I would rather recommend that you must, if you are going to practice cross course kind of a thing, 6 to 8 weeks, nothing less than 6 to 8 weeks would work, up to one semester. The learning emphasis is now on synthesis across boundaries. So here is an integrated approach, as I've already been pointing out, effective teamwork and design-based capabilities and practical orientation or project-based. Again, the landscape, it was very difficult to put all of them together, and hence I had earlier tabulated this table, but then for the purpose of this session, I have consolidated it into this picture. And finally, curriculum level I have already told, I have not put it in the form of a slide, but finally the next level is at the project level, wherein what's happening? I want to go back to the earlier slide. That's all. I think you are also changing. Don't do that. Okay. So here is PBL at project level. Again, I have summarized in tabular matrix form what kind of PBL, what is the learning emphasis, what can be problem types, what could be the duration and arrangement. But I have also summarized for those who are visual learners in the form of a picture. Yeah. Now problem types go more mature. They become real world design problems. Multidisciplinarity has to be there at project level. There will be complex problems to design. And of course, there'll be open-ended problems only. The teachers can define the themes and scenarios, and specific problem subset can be chosen by students. The duration can be small projects, 1 to 3 weeks, 1 semester to 6 months, or they may also go from 1 semester to even 1 full year. Learning emphasis now will be on creativity and innovation, cross-context collaborative skills, and capabilities to work on global issues. This is at the project level, and critical thinking will slightly creep in. So all this is the landscape at the project level, and the team size, while it's not very centers, but 4 to 6 students is what the literature reports. Finally, the challenges. And that's the last 2 minutes of my presentation. And again, it was very difficult to list out all those challenges. It is a long list, but what I have done is for you to carry back home and think about this. Maybe in the breakout sessions we can discuss more. There are 3 levels of challenges that are faced when we practice PBL. So at the teachers level, there's lack of training as facilitators, because most of the time we are doing adhyapan, being adhyapaks all the time, but it requires for us to become facilitators and give insights into the problem that is at hand. The assessment, the traditional assessments definitely will not work for PBL, and there has to be a whole new gamut of designing the assessments for PBL activities. The practitioners here sitting here would agree with me that it's a very different challenge to assign to design assessments for PBL activities. Set difficulty levels of problems for the students. And this is a hidden kind of a challenge that comes in only with practice. When you are practicing PBL, suddenly you hit this challenge, that how you set the difficulty level for the set of students that you are facilitating. And sometimes you have to tweak those difficulty levels for them not to feel discouraged. That's a very important underlying factor for your PBL practice to be successful. You have to be motivating your students all the time. And of course, interpersonal challenges at the teacher's level. Because when you are guiding PBL at cross course levels, interpersonal, you have to be a good team, right? At the teacher's level, then only you can mentor good teams at the students' level. At the student side, lack of teamwork skills, because this is again a very important underlying requirement of working in PBL setups, that the students should be trained to work in teams. Lack of self-assessment skills, because more often than not, PBL is a collaborative work, and more often than not, collaboration is to be assessed not only as a team but also as individual assessments. It has to be a good weighted sum of individual assessment and teamwork assessment. And hence, sometimes when the students are lacking those self-assessment skills, there is a problem. Lack of project management skills. These are all kind of soft attributes that we are talking about, but they are very, very important factors for success of PBL. Prior experience. Many a times it has been found, and the research reports have shown that the students who do PBL iteratively, they improve their PBL skills and their PBL outcomes. But for the first timers, it's a big challenge. And of course, interpersonal challenges, because they are working in teams. At the institution level, that's interesting. If the intention, and my friend Professor Joshi always says this, that PBL kind of practices have to follow a top-down approach. If at the institution level there is no clear intention, the faculty struggles, no matter what experience, expertise, and whatever skills they possess. If it is not, the intent is not there at the top level, this is not going to be successful. Lack of support. Intent may be there, but is there support? In terms of finances, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of other resources, even time is a big resource. And for PBL practitioners, extra time is required for them to prepare, for them to implement, for them to assess. All these things are required. Limited understanding of PBL methods. So there may be intent, there may be, they can say we will provide you support, but does the top institution level, is their understanding of PBL methods? What is required? Very important factor. And cultural level. When the students team up, and if fortunately you have students from various across geographical boundaries, when they are teaming up, it's not an individual work, so they have to take care of their cultural differences at all levels. National and geographical diversity, while it is good to have, sometimes it becomes a challenge for PBL practitioners. And language diversity, it's a lot of communication, interpersonal things that happen there, and language is a big tool, and limitation of languages sometimes play the spoil spot. in achieving the objectives of PBT. That's all, I think. Krishna, you didn't ring the bell. Where are you? I think I'm at 13th minute. And these are the references if you want. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your invaluable insights, ma'am. We take this moment to felicitate our esteemed guests as a gesture of our gratitude. I request Dr. Kode Sandhya ma'am to felicitate Dr. Archana Mantri ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for doing the honors.